Hey everyone, today our homework lesson is about Circumcenter and Centroid and Ortho Center on the coordinate plane, okay, and how to find all of these things. So we are going to find the circumcenter of a triangle on a coordinate plane. You'll need your graph paper or the notes, okay? So let's do number one. Now, to do this, we have to know points A, B, and C, which are pretty easy to figure out. So point A is at -2, 4, 6, 8, down 2, so -8, -2. Okay, B is not shifting horizontally, but up 6, so this is at 0, 6. Okay, and C is at 4, -2. All right, so the first step is to find the midpoint of each side. Okay, and we know that circumcenter is created by perpendicular bisectors. So that's essentially what we're going to do. Circumcenter is made from perpendicular bisectors. And if it's bisecting, it's cutting the segment in half. So that's the midpoint. So let's find the midpoint of AB. And I'll do midpoint is capital M of AB. Okay, so the midpoint of AB, we're going to find the average of my x values and the average of my y values. That's -8 plus 0 divided by 2. And the average of my y values would be -2 plus 6 divided by 2, which would give me -4, positive, let me reset, 2. So -4, 2 is here. That is my midpoint. Okay, and so we found the midpoint. Now we have to find the perpendicular bisector. So the slope from A to B, the slope, we could use a slope formula or we can just count, right? It looks like the slope is up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. Okay, or you can go between 2 points, that's 4 over 4. Okay, so my slope is definitely 1. Now my perpendicular slope would be -1. What's the negative reciprocal of 1? -1. Okay, so I graph that from the midpoint. So my midpoint is this purple dot in between AB. I'm going to go down 1 over 1 to the right, down 1 over 1 to the right, down 1 over 1 to the right, and so on. Okay, so this is my perpendicular bisector. All right, and I probably didn't need to go that far, but that's okay. So let's do the same thing for BC. The midpoint of BC is the average of my x values, so 0 plus 4 divided by 2, and the average of my y values, 6 plus -2 divided by 2. So that would be at 2, and 6 minus 2 is 4, divided by 2 is 2. So 2, 2. All right. Now the slope of BC is, well, let's say down 4 over 2. It's the same thing as down 2 over 1, which is -2. So perpendicular to that, so my perpendicular slope would be +1/2. That's a negative reciprocal, right? So, oops, I erased my midpoint on accident. All right, so +1/2, guys, that means we're rising 1, running 2, rise 1, run 2 from the midpoint that I found. So instead of rising 1 and running 2, let's drop 1 and go back 2. Drop 1, go back 2, okay? drop 1, go back 2. Alright, so this is my perpendicular bisector, and then I don't really need these points, so I'll just erase it. Okay, so we did have an intersection on the x-axis set, -2, so that's probably my circumcenter, but let's just double check. So the midpoint of AC, the average of my x values, -8 plus 4 divided by 2, and then of course my average of my y values, -2 minus 2 divided by 2. So that will be at -4 divided by 2 is -2. Okay, -4 divided by 2 is -2. So -2 is here. Okay, and my slope is 0, right? This is a horizontal line, so perpendicular will be the slope undefined, so straight up. So where is my circumcenter? My circumcenter is here. Okay, so the coordinate would be 0. Oh, no, the coordinate would not be 0. It would be -2, 0. So it's back to and not going up or down. -2, 0. Okay, so I want you all to pause the video and try number 2 on your own. And I'm just going to move on and do 3, our centroid. So go ahead and pause me. Okay, so to find the centroid, you need to graph 3 medians. So don't forget what a median is. It connects the midpoint to the vertex. So this actually, centroid is less work. So centroid is where the midpoint of each side meets the vertex of the opposite, the angle opposite. Okay, so let's go ahead and find the points J, K, and L. J is at -2, 5. K is at, looks like 10, 9. And L is at 4, -5. Okay. So we need to find the midpoint of JK, the midpoint of KL, and the midpoint of JL. All right. So the midpoint of JK is the average of my x values, -2 plus 10 divided by 2, and the average of my y values, 5 plus 9 divided by 2, which gives me 8 divided by 2 is 4, and 14 divided by 2 is 7. Okay, let's find the value of the midpoint of our segment KL. So this is the average of my x's, 10 plus 4 divided by 2, and the average of my y's, 9 plus -5 divided by 2. So 14 divided by 2 is 7, and 4 divided by 2 is 2. So the midpoint of KL is at 7, 2. The midpoint of JL, we do the same thing, -2 plus 4 divided by 2. 5 plus negative 5 divided by 2 gives me 1, 0. Okay. So 4, 7, we'll graph that, is here. 7, 2, 7, 2 is here. Okay. And 1, 0. So we connect each of the midpoints to its opposite vertex. So this one goes straight down to L. Okay, this one goes to K, and it'd be a lot easier with a ruler. Okay, and this one to J. So it looks like all of my points intersect at the centroid here. Okay, so the centroid is at 4, 3. Okay, go ahead and pause the video and do number 4 on your own. So our challenge question of today is a word problem. It says the endpoints of a triangle-shaped playground are graphed below, with each unit equal to 2 feet. If Trina is standing at the Circumcenter and Mark is standing at the Ortho Center, find the distance between them. Round to the nearest tenth of a foot. Okay, so we have Trina at the Circumcenter. And Mark at the Ortho Center. It sounds like we're going to have to find the Circumcenter and the Ortho Center in order to find the distance between them. Okay, so we know that Circumcenter is made from perpendicular bisectors. Let's find the midpoint of 2 sides. That's really all we need. 3 sides gives it more accuracy, but let's just find 2. Okay, and obviously I'm going to pick this horizontal line here because that would be the easiest one to find the midpoint. This is negative 10, negative 8. This one is, looks like 8, negative 8. Okay, so the average of negative 10 and 8, negative 10 plus 8 is negative 2, divided by 2 is negative 1. Okay, and we know that the y isn't changing, so we can just leave that here. Here's my midpoint. All right, and it doesn't matter what side, I'm going to choose the one with the steeper slope. So I have negative 10, negative 8, and let's do this point here at the top. Looks like negative 6, 7, negative 6, 7. Let me check that. 2, 4, 6, 2, 4, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I was wrong. Negative 6, 6. Well, now I feel like I might be wrong. I thought it was a 10 by 10 square. 2, 3, 4, 5. So this one only goes up 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. It's just the top one's missing a row. All right, so my average of my x values, guys, is going to be negative 10 minus 6 is negative 16. Divided by 2 is negative 8. So negative 8 down 1. Okay, obviously it has to be on the line, so I kind of cheated there. All right. Now, perpendicular to the bottom side, guys, is the slope of 0, so that's going to go straight up, right? If the slope here looks like it is up 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 over 2. So 7 over 2 is my slope. The perpendicular to that would be negative 2/7. So So that's down 2 over 7, which thankfully, guys, it totally connects to the line that's already there. Okay, so this is Trina. I'll put a T. All right, now Ortho Center. I haven't taught you this one yet. Let me change the color. So Ortho Center, what do we know about it? Ortho Center. What is it created by? It's created by altitudes. Okay, and altitude's just a fancy name for height. Okay, and the height is always perpendicular to the base. So we found our perpendicular height already is negative 2 over 7. And so we go over to the opposite vertex, right? If we're talking about this side has a slope of 7 over 2, we're going to go to the opposite vertex, which is over here at negative 8, and then go down 2 over 7, right? If we're going down 2 over 7, that's the same thing as going up 2, back 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so we'll do it again. Up 2, back 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, so this is my, oops. And again, please use a ruler. That's my height from that base. So let's do it from the top of the triangle. If we have our slope of the bottom, the base is 0, okay, we're going to start from its opposite vertex up here at negative 6, 6, and the slope perpendicular to 0 would be undefined, so that's straight down. So here's Mark. I'll put an M. Okay, so I guess it would be helpful if I wrote down the coordinates for Trina and Mark. Trina is at negative 1, negative 3. Okay? And Mark is at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, down 4. So negative 5, negative 4. All right. Distance formula. We're trying to find the distance between them. So here we have the square root of the difference of our x values. So that will be negative 5 minus negative 1 squared, okay, plus the difference of our y values, negative 4 plus, not plus, minus negative 3 squared is, so that is negative 5 plus 1 is 4 squared. Negative 4 plus 3 is negative 1 squared, which gives me the square root of 16 plus 1 and the square root of 17, which, if I pull it up on my calculator, let's see, do I have a square root? Yep. So square root of 17, oh, that didn't work. Let's do 17 and then hit the square root button. 4.123. So we'll just call that 4.1. Round to the 10th of the foot. We did it. I think that was a challenge question. All right. So we're going to move on to inequalities and triangles. And this is pretty easy in comparison. We're only going to do the left side of the page here. The triangle inequality theorem states that a triangle exists if the sum of the two smaller sides is larger than the longest side. So let's go ahead and write that down. longest side. Okay. So I guess I should say instead of longer, I should say larger, because we're talking about sum. So the sum is larger than the longest side. Okay. So knowing that that's true, and I'll prove it tomorrow in class. It's too hard for me to show you a video of it right now. So it says, determine if the side lengths could form a triangle. Prove your answer with an inequality. Okay. So the two smaller sides are 8 and 17. So the sum of the two smaller sides has to be larger than the longest side. Okay, so 8 plus 17 is 25. Is 25 greater than 24? Yes, so a triangle would exist here. Number 2, we have the two smaller sides. We add them together because we need to see if their sum is larger than the longest side. Okay, so we have 3 plus 3 is 6. 6 is greater than 7? No triangle could exist here. Okay, so number 3 will be 25 plus 12 is greater than 35. 25 plus 12 is 37. So yes, a triangle could exist for number 3. And number 4, we have 37 plus 42 is greater than 52. And 37 plus 42 is 79 is greater than 52. So yes, definitely a triangle could exist here. You guys go ahead and do 5 through 8 on your own. So if we're finding a third side of a triangle, okay, we can show an inequality to explain the range of possible lengths. So the inequality looks like this. A is less than X is less than B. Okay? And the possible lengths is the difference of the two sides that they give you and the sum of the two sides that they give you. And I'll show you why this works. So let's go ahead and write the inequality first. Oh, I wrote difference. Sorry. Okay, so the difference between 22 and 14 is 8. So 8 is less than X is less than 22 plus 14 is 36. Okay, so this, if we were to pick a value anywhere between 8 and 36, but not including 8 and 36, right? Because it's just the the greater than symbols. So we have 8.1, 35.9. Okay, both of those work here. If we were going to use the triangle inequality theorem and say, all right, 8.1 and 14 is greater than 22, that would work. Okay, and then if we use 35.9, 35.9 would be the greatest side. We would just say 14 plus 22 is greater than 35.9. Yes, that would work too. Okay, but anything outside of that limit would not work. So hopefully that makes sense. Okay, number 10, we're going to find the difference between 31 and 28, which is 3. So 3 is less than X, and X is less than 31 plus 28, which is 59. Okay, number 11, X has to be between 8 and, so 11 minus 3 is 8. 11 plus 3 is 14. And then number 12, the difference of 45 and 19 is 26. So x is greater than 26 and less than 45 plus 19, 64. Okay, so you guys can do 13 and 14 on your own, and let's do 15 together. So let's first write an inequality. The difference between 27 and 15 is 12. So x is greater than 12 and less than 27 plus 15, which is 42. So what satisfies this? Is 34 in the limit? Yes. Is 12? No, it's close, but it's not less than or equal to, it's just less than. So it cannot be, it has to be greater than 12. 29 would satisfy, 18 would satisfy, and 43 is too big. Okay, and you guys do 16 on your own, and then you're done with your homework for tonight. Thank you. Have a good night.